Hello. Have you ever had to write a letter? Do you remember that? A long, long time ago, before email, before text messaging, and before the internet, people used to correspond or speak to each other, communicate through mail and letters. When I was a child, I had a couple of pen pals in Scotland, and they'd write me letters. So exciting. Now, we don't need to bother with that because we have email and internet. But if you have to send someone a letter or a package, the addresses and the way that we write addresses in Canada and in the United States are probably very different from how they're written in your country. So this lesson is how to write an address, how to mail a letter. So there are two differences between American and Canadian addresses, which we will go through in the video, but they're very similar, so it shouldn't be a problem. The very first thing that you need is a name. Do you know your name? Perfect. You need to put the person's name that you are sending it to. Very, very formally, because like I told you, this is an old-fashioned kind of thing, you have to have the title of the person. The title means either Mr., Mrs., Ms., or Miss. Mr. is always going to be for a man. It doesn't matter if the man is married, not married, if it's a 5-year-old man or if it's a 5,000-year-old man. Shouldn't be writing him a letter. You are going to put Mr. For the ladies, it gets a little bit more complicated. If the woman that you're sending the letter or package to is married, you're going to have to put Mrs., M-R-S. So this is for a married lady. If the person is single or very young, like a young girl or a girl child, you're going to have to put Miss. So this is for a single or a wee lass. And then we have Ms. Now the pronunciation is like Ms. And Ms., maybe you don't know this person. Maybe you've never met the person. You don't know if they're married or not. You don't know how old they are. So you're just going to put Ms., the be-all, end-all of everything. So man is Mr., and then you have the three choices for the ladies, Ms. being the most safe, the safest for your bet. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you need to know where the people live. Where do you live? What's your address? You need to get the person's address. So in Canada, we always write the person's house number or the building number. For example, 42. Then we have the name of the street that they live on. For example, Queef. Sometimes we have avenue, which is shortened to Ave. Sometimes we call a street a drive, which is shortened to Der. ST is the short form of actually street. And then we have this boulevard, which is another word for street. So in North America, all of these symbols just represent a street, okay? Maybe your person that you're sending it to lives in an apartment or they do not live in an individual house. No problem. What you're going to do is you're going to put the apartment number. So 42 is the number of the building or the house. The street is Queef Drive, and this person lives in Unit 2A. Or sometimes it's called apartment. Some houses are separated into upper and lower apartments. Or sometimes people like to be fancy and call it a suite. But basically these all mean the same. They just tell you the number that the person lives in. No problem. So up until this point, this is going to be the same with Canadian and American addresses. Now, This is how it differs. In Canada, we always have the city that you're going to. We do not have states in Canada. We have a province. And then you're going to put the country. In the United States of America, we're going to put the city and the state. Basically, the city and the state, the province and the state are the same thing, except in Canada, we use the word province or territory, and in United States of America, they use a state. Then after, you're going to put the country. So, I have, for example, city is Toronto. The province in Canada is Ontario, and the country is Canada. If it was an American address, for example, we would have Elizabeth, which would be the name of the city. NJ would stand for the state of New Jersey. And then we have USA, the United States of America. Got it? And then we have in Canada what we call the postal code. The postal code will always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 characters. It will be always letter, number, letter, number, letter, number. This does not change. This is, once again, in Canada, called a postal code. In USA, it's different. They call it a zip code. I don't know why. The zip code has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 numbers. So, very famous television show, 90210, is actually the zip code. Isn't that cool? Do you watch 90210? It's a zip code. So, differences between sending a letter to or an address in America and differences between Canada, 2. Canada, we use provinces. United States, they use a state. Canada, we use a postal code. And in United States, they use a zip code. So, let's go to a little example of an envelope. Woohoo! Exciting! You're going to have to go to the post office and you're going to have to buy a stamp. You buy it, lick it, stick it, done. So this is an example of a Canadian address. We have our name, Mr. Phil McCracken. We have his address, 42 Queef Drive, apartment 2, Toronto, Ont. We like to shorten all of our provinces to say Ont. Then I have the country of Canada, and then I have my postal code, okay? The magic thing about the postal code or the zip code is this tells people exactly where it's going. Because sometimes people have really bad handwriting, and this might all be a blur, but as long as you have the code or the number, it'll be really, really easy to get to the location, as long as you buy a stamp. As an example for an American letter, again, we have the name, the address with the street, apartment number. We have the city, the state, and then we have the country. And of course, we have the 5-digit zip code. One more really important thing on your letter is you're going to want to put a return address. The return address means your address, just in case the letter doesn't make it. Our postal system in Canada is terrible. It's awful. It can take 5 days for me to send a letter in the same city. They lose mail. They forget to mail it. It's horrible. I recommend driving somewhere instead of sending a post in Canada. But if it must be done, you're going to put your return address on the top left corner of the envelope. The stamp should actually be up here. Your return address should be here. And you can write this in whatever style you want, whatever you're from. Make sure you put on your secret number. And then the recipient address and stuff is going to be here. If you want to send me a letter, do you want to send me a letter? It'll take too long. How about you write me a comment? Go to ingvid.com, take the quiz. We'll see you soon.